Hello, Michael Kelly here. First in a new video series, Why Did I Write? And I'll be going through basically my whole catalogue of written material and explaining what each piece is for, because they were all written for a reason. And this will include both fiction and non-fiction. And today we'll be starting with the first draconian title I wrote, Apophis. Why did I write Apophis? Before I begin this first video, some ground rules, 3 ground rules. First one, no backdrops or anything. This is my office, this is my workshop, this is my working space, so what you see is what you get. This is where I write. My laptop is in front of me, my printer is to the left of me. This is where it happens. So no fancy video effects. That's not what this is about. It's about the book and why I wrote it. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, which is similarly stylistic, you will not find me editing my speech. Nothing irritates me more than all of these YouTube videos and so on, where people are so worried that there's a gap of a few seconds here and there, that they snip them all out so that their words keep coming like this and there's never a pause between any of them, and it's ridiculous. You don't talk like that. Nobody talks like that. That is not the way to communicate. When you speak, there are supposed to be pauses. This is the natural way that we understand each other. If that's not high-tech enough for you, don't watch. Rule number 3, each video will be no more than 10 minutes in length. Now, I'm not timing that to the second, I'm timing it to the minute. And we're already 3 minutes in, so I'd better get started with why I wrote Apophis. A little over 300 pages. Apophis is a manual of initiation through draconian magic. It contains the basic principles I learned in my time in the Temple of Set when I was Grand Master of the Order of Leviathan. The emblem on the front of the serpentine eye within the 3 interlocked triangles with their 9 points surrounded by the circle, which is all explained in this book and others. This was first devised in the Order of Leviathan in the Temple of Set, the Eye of Leviathan glyph, and that's become the seal of the Apophis Club. The Apophis Club being the loose group of people who study this material. I wrote Apophis to pass on what I'd learned. I wanted to get it out there in the world, and I was particularly eager to produce a manual of initiation which didn't come with any baggage attached. Now, Apophis was published in 2009. Its component parts were actually written over a period of 5 years prior to that and then assembled together. So it's getting on a bit now. We do continue to initiate over time. When I look at Apophis now, I'm seeing a very dated book, but only in terms of some of its ideas and explanations and philosophy. Oh, we've come so much further, taking it so much deeper, so much more profound. But that's not really what the book's about. It still stands up. Because as I say, I want to write a book with no baggage attached. Apophis is a curriculum of work. It's based around the symbolism of the 7 heads of the primordial dragon, imagery which comes from several early myth cycles. And the idea of the dragon itself, of course, is almost universal. So it takes each of those heads and gives a set of exercises associated with them. And the idea was that all of these exercises would stand alone. You can start using Apophis. You do not have to believe anything in order to follow the Apophis curriculum. I was very specific. I wanted to produce a book of initiation, a book of magic, where you would not be required to buy into any set of beliefs at all. Instead, you would be given things to do. And you'll be told, do these things, carry them out diligently, observe yourself and what happens, and you'll see that certain results follow. So it's a very experiential system. It's a systemless system. You don't have to know any Kabbalah. You do not have to know the runes. You do not have to know, you don't have to know any of the usual background information. These are just simple acts that anybody can do. As time went on, of course, we represented the same curriculum through different mythic lenses. So the next book in the sequence dealt with rune magic through the lens of the 7 heads of the dragon. I wasn't excluding these things, but it was absolutely essential to me that the core book, the core curriculum, should be just pure practice. Things that anybody who knows nothing of an occult nature beforehand can put into practice and discover for themselves what happens as a result, and then form their own ideas based on that. The deeper you get into the book and the more profound some of the implications become, then the more philosophical material is there. But even that is not dogmatic. It's put there as ideas for you to test out. To say, Apophis was published in 2009, and even as early as 3 years later, I produced so much additional material relating to the later initiatory stages, because I was continuing to adapt and work and improve myself, and I still am. Everything is outdated the day after it's published, and this is the problem with books of this nature. But the core materials here are still as sound as they ever were, because they're simply based on personal practice of very straightforward things to do. That's what the book was written for. You're not required to believe in any other entities. You're not required to buy into any particular occult teachings. You don't have to believe in reincarnation or this, that, or the other. You don't need to know the meanings of the Sephiroth on the Tree of Life. You don't need any of these things for the core Apophis curriculum. As soon as 3 years later, I was expanding it with the book Draconian Consciousness, which gives considerably more information on the later parts of the curriculum. And really the 2 books sort of would ideally have been one, but that just, I was at the stage I was at when I wrote Apophis, so I wasn't able to do it in the initial volume. But it still stands a test of time. We're up to 10 minutes, available on Amazon and Lulu. Thank you for listening. There'll be more. We'll probably do a quick fiction one next. Hope you enjoyed it. Why did I write Apophis? Now you know.